Julian Fleming, number one player out of high school just a couple years ago at Ohio State, leaving to go somewhere else now. Where does he end up? That's the question. He's from Pennsylvania. I look. What are you getting out of Julian Fleming? You're getting a really good slot receiver. He could play in the boundary for sure. Uh, he's not a gigantic human being, but he's a really good athlete. He's really fast. He's a pretty good route runner. So I think you're getting a pretty good player if you end up finding yourself getting Julian Fleming.
Yeah, and you mentioned him being more of I see him fitting in the slot more than in the outside. The problem is when you're behind a guy like two first-round picks like Jackson Smith-Njigba and Emeka Buka, it's hard to find playing time and targets in the slot. His production dropped from last year to this year. I blame that more so on McCord kind of just zeroing in on Marvin Harrison versus giving Fleming a chance to get open. I thought he made a big play in the Michigan game, which was good to see. I don't know exactly where he'll go. He'll have his options for sure. A lot of teams at the high level of college football will need playmakers. I think he's one of them. You mentioned he was a 5-star top 3 player nationally. Penn State seems like an interesting spot for him for sure
I think
within the Big Ten.
Penn State, I think, is a really good spot for him. I think that's kind of my favorite. That's what I wrote down for him for sure.
I would Georgia's an interesting spot, but I don't know how much of a difference maker he is over a guy like Dominique Lovett or Ra Thomas or whoever's in there. But I think he would be an addition for Georgia for sure. If he wants to get developed, I think Penn State's the way. Not developed. He's obviously getting developed by Brian Hartline. I think Penn State's a really good spot for him to be able to showcase his talents
What
at a
about
high
LSU?
level. For sure, that's a team that's going to lose their top 2 pass catchers, BTJ and Neighbors, probably going to draft. Don't have a ton behind them. Shelton Sampson there. Lacey, I believe, is still there. That's a very interesting spot. Obviously, you lose Jaden Daniels, so yeah, you believe in Nussmeier, but who knows with how pass heavy they will be next year. I don't quite see Bama as a fit. I don't see A&M as a fit. Florida would be an interesting one because with Graham Mertz coming back, Eugene Wilson, right? The true
Yeah,
freshman. He'll still be there, and he'll probably
uh,
be the focal point of that offense.
Ricky Pearsall's leaving though, right?
Yeah, he's in the draft.
So
It, I don't think he'll go to Michigan, but that's another place that they're probably looking for more explosive talent at the top end of their team. Wisconsin you'd be the focal point of that offense. If you can get a good transfer quarterback into Wisconsin, you can attract some high level players there for sure. That I kind of see, he was recruited highly by Georgia and Tennessee and Penn State and Ohio State coming out of high school. Obviously, like that changes, that was 40 years ago. So who knows with that, but he's got 1 year of eligibility left. Probably going to be an NFL guy for sure. More of a day 2, day 3 guy than a day 1 guy. But the traits are there and the production has been there at times in his career. He's just been not overshadowed but kind of overshadowed by a really, really talented group of pass catchers. And like, there's only so many mouths to feed. The only thing that worries me is like, if Ibuka goes and you obviously assume Harrison to go as well, you'd be the older guy in that room. Obviously, there's some talented guys there, Ennis and Carnell Tate, and obviously, Jeremiah Smith coming in probably. But I thought there would be a lot more touches there for him next year, but I guess he sees a window to cash in on a nice paycheck for sure, and then also, be a focal point of a productive offense or be able to help somebody and take him to the next step of contending.
yeah, well, who knows if like he actually for sure is going to leave, right? Like who knows? Like, what if this could be a really good opportunity for him, right? Go dip your toe in the portal, leverage NIL, and wait for a quarterback to see if Ohio State brings someone in.
Yeah.
If you really like who they bring in, and you know that you're going to be a focal point in that offense, I think it could be worth staying. So who knows? Who knows? We could be just talking about this all speculation. He could end up just staying. I don't know, but
He
my
is sorry.
say again.
He is from Pennsylvania, which is obviously Penn State makes an interesting spot there. Clemson recruited him pretty heavily out of high school as well. That's a team that's very much in need of high-level pass catchers.
Yeah, we'll see if
Will
Dabo.
they use the portal?
Yeah,
but
I know that's the question. And they
how
did.
can
They
you?
did.
They offered. They
They brought
offered a
in.
guy.
They offered a guy, an offensive lineman. So maybe they are dipping a little bit. I don't know. Maybe some donors were in Dabo's ear a little bit. But yeah, I know. I think that would be a great place for him to go if, of course, Dabo decides to use the portal. So
But if Julian Fleming knocks on your door and your dad was Sweeney and you turn him away,
would be pretty brutal.
it'd be tough. I mean, yeah, but
Also, too,
I think
Miami.
Fleming,
I think Miami would be a good spot because think about Xavier Restrepo. He's going to the draft, and
yeah.
he was their main slot guy. So if you watch enough Shannon Dawson film to see that what a slot receiver can do in that offense, which apparently is a lot because Xavier Restrepo was really good for them. I think that
How
would
about
also
Florida
be a good
State as
spot.
well? Florida State,
Yeah,
two guys going. Obviously, you got the 5-star that came in last year that you hope
Hakeem
takes another
Williams.
step. Yep. But yeah, he's just a guy, big slot receiver, 6'2", 200 pounds. He could block really well. He's obviously been developed, good hands. I don't see him as like a Jameson Williams type transfer. Now, like obviously he had hype around him when he transferred, but it wasn't like, oh, he's gonna be a surefire top 10 pick wherever he goes, or like a Jordan Addison was a couple years ago. But he's gonna be a really, really nice player for whoever he goes to. And I think that experience he has in big games, in good offenses, is gonna be invaluable to wherever he ends up at.
I agree.